All right, as we go, if you've got any questions, feel free to unmute yourself and ask, or drop them into the chat window as well, and we'll address them as we go. So for those who are unfamiliar, this is a 101 session, so we run this as sort of an introduction to Flex. We're going to go through today the fundamentals of Flex, the different feature sets and things like that, how to position and sell Flex as well. And if you've got any questions, just sing out as we go. Can you make larger? What do you want me to make larger there?
Your smile.
What's that? I'm not gonna ask. The web page. I don't think I can make it larger. It's already full screen. Larger font. Okay, zoom in. Oh. Is that better? You're getting old like me. So what we're logged into here is, so FlexPBX is a multi-tenanted hosted PBX platform. It's currently clustered across 16 nodes, 4 data centers. So it lives at NextDC in Melbourne and Sydney, and also Equinix in Melbourne and Sydney. So it's fully clustered across 4 data centers. So where your customers connect to is completely up to our load balancers. You may not have customers who are all connecting to the same place, and that's purely based on how the load balancer works. It's multi-tenant, as I said. So right now we're logged into our demo reseller. So you will also receive your reseller account. As you add customers, you'll see them here underneath your tenancy, and you can manage them from there. So to get started, we're in the demo tenancy, and inside here, this is just your login. So to actually manage a customer, we'll jump into the RT demo. So it's a retail demo account here. And FlexPBX, what we say is you work it from the top down in terms of feature set. That's the most important thing. And as long as you get that right, you'll be fine. Anything you can do in here, you really can do in under a minute. If it's taking you more than a minute, you're probably going the wrong way about it. So it really is just a matter of working through screen by screen and going and setting things up. So this is the dashboard view. So from here, you can see how many users you've got, the number of devices you've got, the main number that's assigned to the tenancy. If you've got a conference bridge number assigned, you can manage hold music in the open and closed hours, and it gives you a bit of an overview of what's there. So let's start from the top down. So the first thing we look at is numbers. So the first thing any tenancy needs is a phone number. So when your customers do number ports, we'll either assign you a temporary number so that you can forward their existing phone number to that temporary number while you're doing the move, or we'll assign you the numbers, new numbers, or once they've ported in, you'll see all of their numbers there. So what that will allow you to do is see everyone and what they're assigned to. So the first thing here, we've got numbers in use. So these are the numbers that are currently assigned. So this one here, office number, the little house corresponds to the little house here. So it's allocated to the main number. The little people here, sales, you can see it's allocated to a group. So it's allocated as an in-dial to the sales team. And if you've got any spare numbers, so if your customers have a 100 number in-dial range, for instance, and they've got some spare numbers out of that range, you'll see the spare numbers here under spare numbers. So pretty straightforward, numbers in use and spare numbers. Now what you can do as well from the numbers screen here is you can click the little cog and do what we call a prepend. And that's so that you know what on the screen it's going to pop up as to prepend to the caller ID. So if you've got a direct in-dial, you might want to prepend it and say DID, so that you know that when someone's called that number, they've actually called the direct number, and the user knows that it's the direct number. In this instance, we've got this one called Company 1, and I'll go through and show you where that's being used in a minute. You can do that to any of these numbers, so you just click on the cog and click prepend. And you can do this from a number of the screens as well. So the next thing we look at is users. We separate the concept of a user and a device. So a user is a person, and a device is a physical device, be it a soft phone, a desk phone, or a mobile phone that you're forwarding the call out to. We treat that as a device. So one user can have multiple devices. That is, one user may have two desk phones. They may have a desk phone on their desk at their office and one at their house. They may have a desk phone and a soft phone. They may have multiple soft phones. We don't charge per device, we charge per user. So on our Flex Max plan, it's $39.95 per user per month. And in this day and age, we fully expect that people are going to have a phone on their desk and quite possibly a soft phone on their mobile as well. Now, Flex Max plan for $39.95 per month, that either comes with a standard handset, what we call a standard handset, which currently is a Yealink T42S, or it comes with a soft phone license and a Jabra Evolve 35. Jabra Evolve 35 headset, I think it is at the moment. So it's a comfortable headset that you can wear all day. I'm using a Jabra Evolve headset at the moment. They can either come in a single ear or dual ear configuration for the headset. We give you the option of that when you order. But you can either have a desk phone or a soft phone. A lot of people these days are going straight down the soft phone path and doing away with desk phones altogether. So there's an option for you as well. So as you can see, we've got 10 users here. We've got an administrator user, so there's no extensions or anything assigned here. It's the administrator for that tenancy. And then we've got real users. So we bill based on the user with the extension. So you can see here, Tom Jones has got an extension of 1007. He doesn't have a phone number or a direct in dial assigned, and he's got a device, and that device is currently offline. So from within this screen and with all the screens, they're very similar. If you click on what you want to change, so if you wanted to change his name from Tom Jones to Jeff Jones, you just click on that and hit save, and his name is now changed from Tom Jones to Jeff Jones. So as I said, anything in 60 seconds. If you want to update the email address and the password so that the end user can log in, so you might change that to Jeff and update his password. You've now updated his password as well. There we go. Updating the PIN number for the voicemail box, sending the emails to an alternate address. So this is really handy if you've got a director or CEO who's got a PA and you want all of the voicemails to go to the PA. You just go and drop that in there and the PA will get the emails as well. Whether the user is a user or an admin. So a user gets user privileges and an admin gets what you're seeing right now, which is the full rights over the tenancy. The time zone, so where it says here account user default, so by default when we create you a tenancy, it's created with the time zone. So Melbourne, Brisbane, Sydney, Adelaide, Perth, for instance, and you may have users who cross time zones. So you may have a Eastern Australian office and a Western Australian office, and in that instance, you will choose which one your tenancy is. So you might say, well, my head office is in Brisbane, therefore I'll set the tenancy to Brisbane, but I've got 2 users in Perth. So those users, you can change their time zone here, and that changes their time zone for routing rules, and it also changes their time zone for the reading back of voicemail messages so that it reads it back in the correct time zone for them. The different languages, so this just changes the presentation of the languages. The default ring time, so this is 20 seconds is the default, which is about 4 to 6 rings. You can change that to whatever you like. Extensions, you can have multiple extension numbers, so that's really handy if you need to masquerade someone or like putting an alias on someone's email address, and I'll show you that here. Again, click where it says the number. You can assign another extension to that user, click save, and then you can choose which one in here is going to be that user's primary. And that we've added 2, you've now got the option of 2. So we might change it to 1005 and click save. And then if you want to remove 1007, you can click unassign, click save, and that's now done. Now, if for instance we've got here, we're going to add in 1007 again. So 1005 is the current active one. If we want to go in here and unassign that, because it was the primary, it says, well, you now don't have a primary extension. Do you want to set that to 1007 because you've got that in that list there? So you can click on that and then click save. So it really is quite intuitive, and it doesn't allow you to break things so that you don't end up with an extension that doesn't work. So the next column here is phone numbers, and that relates to assigning an external number to that user. So in this case, because it's a user, it's a direct in dial for that user. So again, click where it says none. It'll pop you down the list. You click add, select the number, and then click add and save. I've got that one already assigned. Let's go and take one off a group here. So again, unassign, save, and then back here we go Jeff. Go and grab the number we just unassigned, reassign it there. And we've now got a direct in dial for Jeff. Now what you can do here as well, because we've put that number there, you might want to change that prepend, and you might want to call that DID so that we know that it's a direct in dial. So when you now call that number directly, it will only ring Jeff's extension and it will prepend on his screen saying DID. The next column here is our devices. So as I said, the concept of users is a user is a person and a device is a physical device. So Jeff currently has one desk phone, a Yealink T48G that's assigned. But let's say we want to go and add in a soft phone. We can go new device, add in a soft phone, call it Jeff soft phone, and then create device. Oh, I'll click smartphone, not soft phone. Let's try that again. New soft phone. Device name here. Create, save, and you've now got the credentials that you can go and put into Jeff's device. So if you click back in there and you click on it, you've got the username, the random password, and the SIP realm that you can put in. Now, if you're using our soft phone as part of it, we just give you a username and a password to put into your soft phone, and we pre-populate all of these configurations straight into the soft phone for the user. So the user doesn't actually have to do anything other than put a username and a password in. The next thing, again, if you want to remove that device from there, just click on it again, unassign it from Jeff. It'll go back in the pool, and you can actually go and take that soft phone and then reassign it because it's back in the pool now. Add from spare devices, go and grab Jeff's soft phone, and you can go and assign that to Ricky Ponting. So it's quite easy to move anything around, whether it's an extension, whether it's a phone number. So you don't actually have to pick up phones and move them around, and you certainly don't have to say to that user, well, let me unplug and replug. If someone moves desks, you can literally say, well, you were at this desk and now you're at this desk. I'm going to unassign you that phone from this desk, and I'm going to reassign you the phone over at your new desk over here. Max is now using that phone. There it is. Select, save, and that's done straight away. Make a phone call. That'll now ring that phone. The next column here is the user features. There's a number of features. So the first one's caller ID number. So this relates to, we have a phone number here that we've set as the direct in-dial number. Therefore, you can now present that as your outgoing CLI as well. So you can now say, show my caller ID number as this number. Otherwise, it will show it as the default tenancy number. So if we want to do that, again, drop it down. It goes green to show that you're using that feature. The next option is call forwarding. So this is great if you want to forward the call out to someone's mobile. The one trick that you've got to make sure of here is if this user is part of a group, you want to make sure that forward direct calls only is selected. Now, the reason you want to do that is because if the person's mobile phone is switched off and this is not selected, if someone calls, say, your main number and this person has their call forwarding on and their voicemail answers straight away, all of the calls will just be going to this person's mobile phone to their voicemail. So by selecting forward direct calls only, someone has to either dial that person's extension directly or dial their direct in dial directly, and that's the only time it will forward. If you take that off and they're part of a group, it will forward all of the calls for that group as well. So just be wary on that one. The other one here is leave voicemails on forwarded numbers. So this relates to if you want someone to only ever use one voicemail, say the voicemail within Flex, by ticking this, what it will do is the call will always go through to the voicemail. So if you call and it goes through and the voicemail of the mobile phone answers, it will allow the person to leave the voicemail there. By leaving that unticked, what it will do is when the forwarded call goes through, the user at the other end will be prompted to press 1 to accept the call. And what that does is it stops the calls that go to the voicemail from actually landing on that voicemail, because the voicemail can't actually push 1 to accept that call. So that's a little bit of a tip there for you on this one. If you want it to go to the person's voicemail, leave it ticked. If you don't, leave it unticked. But again, call forwarding, put the number in. You can either put it in what we call plus E164 format, so the plus and then the international format, or you can just put in the phone number and hit save. The next feature here is hot desking. So again, hot desking is a user feature, not a device feature. So every device can have any user log onto it at any time. What you have to do is go into the hot desking function, enable it, give that person a hot desking ID, turn on whether it requires a PIN or not, and whether you're going to allow that person to log on at multiple devices. So again, devices can be assigned to multiple devices can be assigned to one user. So if you want people to be able to only hot desk at one device, then you leave that unticked, and if they go from device A to device B, it will log them out of the first device and log them into the second device. The PIN number is great if you don't want people to actually jump onto that extension. You can turn voicemails on and off. By default, they are on, and by default, they will get an email every time. You can delete the voicemails from the database after the notification, and that turns off the message waiting indicator on the phone. So if you don't want the red light on the phone to flash when there's a voicemail, delete messages after sending the notification. It goes and sends the notification straight to your email, and it will never show that there's a voicemail on the phone. The next one's FaxBox. So again, you can assign an inbound fax number to your tenancy at a tenancy level, and I'll show you how to do that in a minute. So you can say here, send it to the FaxBox number, and anything you send to that number will land in that person's email. The next thing is the conference bridge. So the conference bridge, you can assign a phone number at a tenancy level to be your conference bridge number. Every user can then go and have their own personal conference room. So for instance, this person's got a conference room number of 8520. Another user can also have a conference bridge number of, say, 9410, and you dial into this number, it says, please enter the conference room number. You enter in that number, and you can have multiple conferences going in multiple conference rooms at any one time. So really, really handy if people are doing a lot of international calling or after hours calling, or they're doing a lot of conference calls. You've now got your own personal conference bridge number. You can say, please dial into my conference bridge number, enter this PIN, and then everyone lands in the same conference room. That's included at no extra cost. So really good feature if you've got customers who are paying for expensive conference bridges at the moment. This is going to save them a lot of money. The next feature is Find Me, Follow Me, and you can see here it's not going to allow me to enable it because I've only got I've got no devices on this user now. So let's go to Ricky Ponting, who's got 2 devices, because this is where Find Me, Follow Me actually works, is where you've got more than one device. So if we enable Find Me, Follow Me here, you can see because this guy's got 2 devices, he's got a Yealink CP860 and a soft phone, you can now say, well, I want these calls to ring in this sequence. So for the first 20 seconds, I want it to ring up this phone. And then say from 15 seconds to 40 seconds, I want it to ring on my soft phone. So this is where your Find Me, Follow Me comes in. If you don't want it to ring, if you've got 5 or 6 devices there, so if we quickly go and add some more devices onto Ricky Ponting, for instance, add from spare devices. Let's just go and tick 4 or 5 devices, save, and then go and use Find Me, Follow Me again, enable. You'll see now all of these ones are here. You might only want it to use 1 or 2 of them. So you can click the ones you want to use. You can distribute the calls evenly over the 120 seconds. You can drag and drop and reorder them and then redistribute them if you want. You can drop them down to, say, 20 seconds for that one. I want that one to ring from 15. to 80, and I want the mobile phone to ring after 20 seconds, but I only want it to ring for 20 seconds. And if you need to turn additional ones on or off, you can very easily just go and turn additional ones on and off. All of this works, by the way, off an iPad, so you can use your finger to do drag and drop and to move the sliders as well. So you don't actually have to use a mouse. So that's the find me, follow me. Music on hold can either be set at a tenancy level, or it can be set at a user level, or it can be set at a group level. So if you've got specific people within a group that you want to have different on hold music, so your sales team versus your service team versus your accounts team, you can put different messaging based on those departments. Or if you've got a user who you want specific on hold messaging for, you can actually change that at a per user level as well. Inbound call recording. So how inbound call recording works is we don't store the recordings on our servers. We push the calls to you at the end of the call. What you do for this is you set up a web server, preferably an Apache server. We give you a .htaccess file, which is a permissions-based file that you can drop on that Apache server. From there, you will accept call recordings from us. You'll put the IP address or the URL of your server there. You'll select which format you want us to push the call recordings to you, either MP3 or WAV, and how the length of the calls that you want us to chop them into. So if you know that your customer has lots of long calls, 600 seconds is the default, which is 10 minutes, but you can go and adjust this and say, well, I've only ever got small calls, therefore if it's longer than 5 minutes, chop them into 5-minute blocks. If it's longer than that, you can always go and change it to 600 or 900, whatever you like for your customer. At the end of that call, we will push the file to you. It's then up to you to store it for compliance purposes. So we don't want any file storage for any compliance purposes whatsoever, or retention policies. You can push that up to either your NAS box running an Apache server on it. We've had customers do that with like a QNAP or a Synology with Apache on it. We've had customers do this with Amazon Web Services, where they go and spin up an S3 bucket and they push all of these files into an Amazon S3 bucket. Completely up to you. As long as it's an HTTP or an HTTPS server, we can push that file to you. So that's call recording. The next thing we look at is groups. So a group is how you can take multiple users and group them together, and when you call the extension for the group, so 2002 for instance, it will then call the members within that group. So what we can do here is exactly the same as our users. We can rename that. So we might call that sales team rather than sales. We might want to add some extra members to that. So you click on members, add user. It's going to add Ricky and Max, and we want them to ring for 40 seconds too. Max might only need to be, he might be on the overflow group. So you might say, you know what, I want these ones to ring from 20 seconds, not from the get-go. And again, the distribute function is there as well. So you can distribute the calls. You can drag and drop exactly like the other screen and redistribute them. And you can remove users and then redistribute as well, and click save. Every group has an extension, and that's so that you can actually transfer to an extension or a group extension, and it will ring all of those phones within that group. Again, you can add additional ones in there, so we might put 2010 in there and click save, and you've now got 2 in there. You can unassign the original one and click save, and it will go and change the group extension. Groups can also have direct in-dial numbers. So if I go and grab the one that we assigned to Jeff, unassign it, and save, I can now go and reassign this to our sales team. Now, you might be thinking, where's this handy? Well, it's really handy if you're advertising a number for, say, the yellow pages, and you want to know that that number was the yellow pages, and I want it to always go to my sales team. So in your prepend, you might put in here, well, it's my yellow pages ad, so that when that call comes in, it doesn't go to the secretary, it bypasses the switchboard, it rings just the people in the sales team, and it prepends it with YP for yellow pages. We've got other people who do 5 or 6 Google ads, and what they do is they go and put in here the prepend, and they go and put in GA and 1, for instance, because they know that they're running that ad. They have a table that they say this is the Google ad, GA1, so that when the person calls in, they can, from a metrics point of view, measure that that person called and that they're going to talk to that person about the product, and they know whether it's a warm, hot, cold lead, what product they're going to talk to them about. Everything's then measurable from a sales point of view. So if you're dealing with companies who've got sales and marketing teams, that feature alone will close deals for you. Similar features on your group as are on your users. Inbound call recording for your group, exactly the same concept. Ringback. So ringback is the tones that the person hears when they get transferred to this group. So for instance, when you hear the ring ring, that's a ringback tone. So you can actually have, so when I transfer someone to the sales group, I want them to hear the on hold message. That's the ringback tone for when you call that group. You can then go and upload that. So you just go in here and say upload, browse for your WAV or MP3 file. So let's just go and download one that I did here the other day for a customer. Welcome message, upload it, click save. If you now go back into your group features and look at your ringback, it's now set to that one. So you can go and change that and then re-upload if you need additional ones in there. The next action, exactly what it sounds like, what to do next. So if no one picks up and this group is called, what do you want it to do? So we give you some basic functionality of go to a menu, go to a mailbox, or go to another user. If you want to do more complex things, I'll show you the complex call flows in a moment. The allow call forward. So this option here is if you want it to call forward to the groups as part of it. So if it's disabled, it will ignore whatever is said on the user, but if you enable it, it will actually overflow per the group example. So remember in the user where we went into here and we had the call forwarding, this is what that's related to. Question there from Rod. When in a group and in a distributed mode, but a device is not ringing, assume that the device can pick up the call early or later if it's still calling other devices. Do you want to maybe unmute yourself, Rod and team, and give us a little bit more context around that one?
Hi guys, can you hear me okay?
It's quite soft, but go for it. I'll turn up my volume.
That's okay. Yeah, I'm just wondering if you're in a distributed group and other phones are ringing around the office, but it's too far for someone to walk over to that phone. Can someone else pick that up from their own?
So we call that group pickup.
Yep.
And you enable that on the phone in the provisioning template using a feature code.
So there's a button on the phone, basically.
Yep. So you enable that as a feature code in the phone. So we have our knowledge base, and inside our knowledge base here, Flex knowledge base, you can go in here. So if we go group pickup, how to set up group pickup. So there's an article there on how to enable group pickup. So what you do is you go and create a group. You give it a group extension. You add the users to that group, and then you would go and create a call flow called group pickup, and we assign the group that we predefined in there, and then you can assign that to a button as a DSS key. So that's how you do your group pickups.
Thank you.
No problem. I'll jump back to the groups here. So the other thing there is, as well, as you can do a caller ID prepend at the group level, so that if you call the sales team, they want to know that they've called, that whoever's called it has called the group number rather than calling a direct number. Right, so the next thing we look at is the main number. So what we've got here is the main number that we set for everything else that's going to flow on here. So in this group, in this screen here, we've got the main number of 0385935690. Again, you can do prepends on that. So if you've got multiple companies and you've got the same receptionist servicing two companies, you can have it pop up on her screen to say that it's company 1 or company 2. and then she can answer that call with welcome to company 1, welcome to company 2. The next thing you set here is the office hours strategy. So your business is either going to be open all the time, 24/7, or it's going to be only open during these hours here. So what you can see here is open and close hours. So 24 hours means that you're always open, and it will apply everything below the same. Custom hours means it's going to take whatever is in the default time zone for the tenancy, and it says here company time zone Melbourne, Australia, and it will apply that. So 9 to 5 here, Monday to Friday. You might say you're open from, say, 9 to 1 on a Saturday, and you're closed on a Sunday. You've got some professional services industries like accountants and lawyers where they say everyone goes to lunch at the same time every day. So we've added that in as a function down here to say, are you closed for lunch? And you can go in here and say, yes, we're all closed. We're going to close from 12:30 to 1:30 every day, and click save. Now, what that's going to enable you to do is in the incoming call handling, you've now got 3 options. You're open, you're closed, and your lunch. If we turn off the lunch option, if we go back up here and say, no, we're not going to close for lunch now, we don't like that anymore, click save, go to incoming call handling, you no longer have a lunch function anymore. So really easy to go and turn these features on and off. The other thing you can do is set up holidays, and we've actually built a function to have holidays imported from a iCal file. So what that will allow you to do is, based on the time zone of your tenancy, it will actually allow you to import import the public holidays based on that time zone. So for instance, if we're in Melbourne and we want Melbourne Cup and we want the Queen's birthday holiday and we want Labor Day, which is different from Western Australia and New South Wales, it will only import those holidays based on that state. And that's done from our provisioner, and that will automatically, so you go into our provisioner and you will push that in. But if you want to close for one holiday and you want to add it manually, single day, so you might put in here, Boxing Day, December 26, you're now going to have an option here for holidays. What do you want to do on holidays? So really, really flexible. As you change things, it will dynamically go and update that for you. So let's cut this back to something really easy, so that we've only got open and closed to work with. So we've now got open hours and closed hours, and that's all based here on our strategy of 9 to 5 Monday to Friday and 9 to 1 on Saturday. So what do you want to happen? So we give you 3 basic ones to start with, which are the call comes in and it goes to an IVR. Press 1 for this, press 2 for that. So if we want to do it that way, then you click on incoming call, you follow the link, and you go and set up your menu. So for 1, I want it to go to my sales team. For 2, I want it to go to the accounts team. For 3, I want it to go to my marketing team. For 4, if you want to go and add another one in, 4, I want it to go straight to Jeff. And if no one presses anything, so you see here default action, what do you want it to do? And I want it to ring all. Or you might say, well, if no one answers, I want it to go to my group called help desk. So you've got plenty of options on how you build it. You can blow them away quickly and you can rebuild them. So you can go in here again and go 1 for accounts, 2 for Jeff, 3 for, what do we have, help desk, 4, I want to play a message. So you've got media. If you scroll down here, media, you can actually play a message. So you can play an MP3 file. So you might have, we've got a race course with one of our customers. They have race day event messaging that they play. They have an IVR so that when people call up to find out what time the buses run from the station to the racetrack, they go and record that on someone's computer using a headset and microphone, and they say, welcome to the race club, race day information for Wednesday the 4th of October, races start at 10:30 a.m. With bus services starting at 8:30 a.m. every 10 minutes. They record that, they upload it, and they go and put that as an option on their menu so that they can have custom race day information for that day. So very easy to add and change it. The only other thing I always recommend is that you always have a default option there, so that if someone's got either a touch tone phone that's not working, or someone doesn't press anything, you've got somewhere that it fails over to, and that might be something as simple as like a ring all or a group, so that you can see there it goes to a voicemail for sales, but you can have it going wherever you like, groups, all. We offer you 3 options to put your greeting. So this one's text to speech. So we've got, welcome to company, press 1 for accounts, 2 for Jeff, and 3 for help desk, or press 4 for more options, or to hear about to hear our privacy policy or anything like that. So you can type that in. Click update and click save. So that goes and generates that on the fly. Click save, and you'll now have a Mr. Robot voice that will just read that out. So if you call that number now, that's what you'll get. If you want to upload your own MP3, whether you've had that professionally recorded or you just want to record that on your computer, you can do that, and you can record that from the phone as well, just by following the instructions here on the screen. The next call flow we give you by default is the incoming call comes in and it goes to a group, or it goes and plays a message, or it goes to a specific user, and then it goes to a virtual receptionist. So handy if you've got a receptionist and you might say, look, I want all my calls to go into my receptionist, but if she doesn't answer, then I want it to go to an IVR to say, welcome to XYZ company, we're currently unavailable, press 1 for accounts, 2 for sales, 3 for general inquiries. The next one we offer is incoming call, which goes to, again, either a person or plays a message, and then it overflows to a voicemail box. This one on the end here where it says advanced call flow, I'll show you the advanced call flows in a moment. So 3 that we give you by default is incoming call to an IVR, incoming call to a group or user, then to an IVR, incoming call to a group user, and then to a voicemail. And you can set these different for open hours and closed hours, depending on your business requirements. So incoming during the day might go to an IVR. Incoming after hours, you might say, well, I want it to go to a voicemail, or I want it to ring someone's mobile phone. So we treat that as a device. So if we go down here to devices, Mike's mobile, so it's going to ring Mike's mobile. If he doesn't answer, then it's going to go to the voicemail box. And click save, and that's now done. So that's the basic setup of the PBX. For every user we create, we automatically create a voicemail box. So you can see down here voicemail boxes, but you can also go in here and create custom voicemail boxes. You may have teams that you want to set up, and then the group has got the voicemail box. So you can go in here and say, add a voicemail box. I want to call it my super sales mailbox. Give it a number, and you can put a pin on it. And if you go into options here, this just says whether it's already set up, what time zone it's in, the recipient. So you might send this to a distribution group at domain, your company domain, so that more than one person gets it. And then you can go and upload your greeting media as well. You can record that on the computer, and you can upload professional recordings. So you might have their sales team intro, and then create your new mailbox, and you've now got a new mailbox. So you can now map that mailbox within your call flows. You can now map that mailbox as an overflow, but you can see all of these ones here. For every user we've created, it automatically goes and creates a mailbox. So if we add a new user in here just to show you, so 1005 there, if we click create user, and we go back to our voicemail boxes, there's Steve's mailbox, ready for Steve. Devices as well, we can either add our devices from our users, or if you want to add a device standalone, you can come in here and do a new device. And again, it's exactly the same as doing it from the user screen, where you can add a SIP device, a mobile phone, a smartphone, a soft phone, a landline. So these are great for forwarding. So if you want to forward out to a mobile, so you might put here Tom's mobile. there's Tom's mobile now, and we can use that as part of an advanced call flow. And I'll show you the advanced call flows in a moment. The feature code, so this is if you just want to do some basic things from the handset. You can do update your call forwarding and things like that. Use your hot desking functionality. So by dialing *11, it'll enable it. Dialing *12 will log you out. And if you want to create a button, you can create a button called *13 as a speed dial, and that just does a straight login or log out. So if it's logged in, it'll log you out. If it's logged out, it'll prompt you for your PIN number and your extension to log you in. If you want to do an intercom, if you want to block your caller ID, check your voicemail from another extension. So if you have a group voicemail box and you don't have it emailing, you can do *97, and then it will say, please enter the mailbox you want to check and the PIN number. If your extension is assigned to a device, you can do a *98, and it will log you straight into your voicemail box, and then parking as well. So that's the basic functionality of Flex. I'll pause for a moment and take any questions that you've got. Feel free to unmute your audio and ask some questions. No questions? Okay, we'll move on to advanced call flows. Yeah, all quiet, absolutely. I kind of feel like going Bueller, anyone, Bueller. So the next thing we look at is advanced call flow. So if this isn't sophisticated enough for your customers and they say, well, I really want it to do this, and then I'm going to try and do that, and then I want it to flow over to this and really go complicated and all out, we have advanced call flows. So by clicking on the little 9 dots up here, and then clicking on call flows, and then clicking on our call flows application, you can now do full drag and drop call flows. So let's go and show you a blank call flow. Click add call flow. This is where you can now use all of these functions, and there it goes, and build all of your own custom call flows. Now, everything we do in Smart PBX, in what I just showed you the first time, is actually just building call flows. Absolutely everything is like doing these macros for call flows. So we created a conference in the Smart PBX, and you can see here that this one was created in the Smart PBX. So that main conference number goes to the conference service. So if we look at a new call flow, I'll go through some of these options. Some of them are really obvious, some of them not so obvious. So play media, plays a file. So if you upload a file and you want it to literally just play a file when that person hits that part of the call flow, you can do that. So that's really handy if you want to say, call a ring group, 20 seconds. If the ring group doesn't answer after 20 seconds, play a message, then call the ring group again. So to do that, you'd say, play the ring group. Which ring group do you want to use? You can use either your predefined ring groups that we've used in Smart PBX, or you can literally just go Jeff, Shane, Steve. Yep, 20 seconds each. Now I want to go, okay, well, what happens next? Then I wanted to go to another ring group. And that one, I want it to go to ring all. And then what I wanted to do, okay, well, then I want it to say play a file. If they don't answer, play the sales team intro message, right? And then what I wanted to do, well, if no one answers after that one, then I wanted to go and call another ring group, and I wanted to go back to the help desk team this time. Okay, and then what? And you can see what it's like. You can literally just keep going, and then what, and then what, and then what, and then what, and it will just chase down the tree. Now, that's a basic tree for, say, a departmental type thing. Let's go and break that tree down and look at some of the other functions you've got here. So play media, plays a file. Ring group, rings a group of people, either predefined in your Smart PBX, or you can create it dynamically on the fly. Conference, so that connects you to the conference function. So if you've got a specific number or you want to use it as part of a menu, you can connect people to the conference bridge. User connects people to a user. Voicemail connects you to a voicemail box. Menu enables you to enact the menu functionality. So let's quickly use some of these basic functions. User calls in, wants a more complicated menu than what we did in Smart PBX. Cool. So we drag menu to the top level, and it says, right, do you want to create a new menu or do you want to use an existing menu? So you can say, okay, let's go and add a new menu. Let's call this Greg's Whiz Bang menu. And do we want a greeting message on this? Yeah, let's use that. Welcome message. And then we've got some advanced settings that we can look at here. So the main thing you look at here is number of retries. So number of retries, if someone doesn't dial something, it'll keep prompting them. If you don't want them to have any retries, set it to 1, not 0. 1 means it will play the message once. If you set it to 0, it does nothing. So it's how many times do you want to hear the message? The timeout for dialing, so if you say, look, 10 seconds, that's after it finishes playing the message. How long do you want to wait for someone? You might wait 3 to 5 seconds. The extension number length, so this is for a PIN or for an extension number, so you can have external dialing, you can change your length. The suppressing play of invalid entry, so if someone dials the wrong entry, you might not want to play, I'm sorry, that was an invalid entry, you can suppress that. So if we click save on that now, we've now got our menu. So that's invoking the menu function. What do you then want to do when someone hits that menu? You want to be able to prompt them for those options. So you might say, for sales, press 1. Okay, well, sales is a group, so I grab my Ring group and I say press 1, save, and I want my sales team. And I want them for 30 seconds. And you can put a label on it, sales group, save. So you can see now, press 1 goes to sales. You might then say, okay, what happens if sales don't answer? I want it to go to their voicemail. Which voicemail box? I want it to go to my sales group voicemail box. So that now has an end. It's going to come in, press option 1, ring that group, end. You can then say, okay, well, option 2, I want to go to a specific user. Option 2, save. Which user? I want to go to Jeff, and I want it to ring Jeff for 60 seconds. And if Jeff doesn't answer, what I want it to do? Well, I might want it to go to another user. I want it to go to Max, and I want it to ring Max for 30 seconds. And if Max doesn't answer, what I want it to do? Well, then I want it to go to a ring group, and I want it to go to my help desk team for 20 seconds. And if they don't answer, then I want it to go to a voicemail, and I want it to go back to Jeff's voicemail box. And you can just keep building these out and out and out. Now, the nice thing as well is you can link a call flow to a call flow. So what we're designing here is a call flow. So if you want to have a multi-level menu, you can see that these can go quite deep. You can have multi-menu structures where a menu links to a menu. Now, where might you use this? You may have a top-level menu that says, say, press 1 for support, 2 for accounts, 3 for sales. So when they press 1 for support, it may go to another menu that says press 1 for telephone help desk, 2 for computer help desk, 3 for internet help desk, 4 for mobile phone help desk, 5 for whatever. And you can keep going down these trees, and then if they click 2 for accounts, you might say press 1 for accounts payable, 2 for accounts receivable, 3 for payroll, 4 for HR department. And you can link, so rather than trying to do all of this in a massive messy tree, you create menu structures and call flows, and you link a call flow to a call flow. So every call flow's got to have an extension, even if it's just a dummy extension. So let's just go and add a dummy extension and save that one, and create another one here called 9911. So let's go and create another menu quickly, and then just go and put a couple of options on it. 1, play some media. 2, connect to the conference bridge. Which conference bridge? 3, connect to a user. Save that. If we go back to our 9910 here, and we might now say option 3 is going to go to call flow 9911. If we click on advanced, you've got an option here called call flow. Drag that onto your menu and says option 3. Now what do you want to do? Well, I now want to link that to call flow 9911. So rather than having all the messiness of the stuff that we've just defined inside 9911 and having that chasing down the tree here, you can invoke that menu to actually do that. So we're calling this menu as a function, and it's going to execute that. So hopefully that makes a bit more sense when you start to think about how to do your call flow planning, is break it down into bite-sized pieces that you can easily change, because the more you add to your call flow, the harder it gets to go and change and chase back through that call flow. Run through some of these advanced functions. So device allows you to call a device rather than a user. The call flow, as I just showed you, allows you to link between call flows. Really handy if you chase down a menu structure where you've got a menu and you might want to say to return to the main menu. So if you go back to this one here, to return to the main menu, press 4, you would then say advanced call flow on this one, press 4, and then if we want to go from 9911 back to 9910, press 4, it now chases you back down to that call flow, and it will just read you down through that, through this tree again. Once my mouse wakes up, there it goes. Page group, so allows you to page a group of people. Manual presence, not really used, mainly if you want to trigger things within really complex call flows for people to show people's BLF keys as red or green, changing the language. Group pickup, so that's again if you want to use the group pickup function, and there's some documentation on how to do that. Receiving a fax is to invoke the fax receive function. Pivot is again really complicated. We go through that in a bit more detail in our knowledge base, but it allows you to do some really cool custom coding stuff within our platform. DISA is your direct in dial. Just be really careful with this. So this allows you to effectively dial in from outside and then make a call as if you were inside. And I'll show you what that means. So if we're going to put that in there as option 4, and we put a pin on it, and we allow 1 retry, and how many digits do you want to allow, and things like that. Keep the original caller ID. So if you've got people who are traveling overseas, and this used to be big on old phone systems where STD rates were and international rates were really expensive. People used to dial from their mobile phone into their phone system, and then from their phone system they'd make the international call rather than from their mobile phone. So this allows you to call in, press option 4 as a hidden option, for instance, and you'll push option 4 and it will say please enter your PIN, and you'll put in there 8520, and then from there you can actually it'll say, right, here's a dial tone, make an outbound call, and it will make a phone call through the phone system as if you were sitting in the office. Be really careful with using this functionality. It's where we see people getting toll frauded, where they set really, really poor choice on PIN numbers, and yeah, just be really, really careful using the DISA service. It's one of those things that it exists because it's something that people still use, but just be really, really mindful of where you're using it. Response, again, that's used in line with things like our pivot functionality. The conference service, so that connects you to the conference bridge. So if you've got multiple conference services, you'll say connect to the conference service, and then you'll say please choose which one. If you want to connect them directly to a specific conference bridge, then you'll use this one here. Conference, option 4, and it will allow you to choose which one. So you might want to connect to Dean Calvert's conference bridge. And you can click save. Then you've got things like check voicemail. So again, pretty straightforward. It invokes the *97 functionality. Fax box, again, looks at the fax box. Global carrier, you'll never use that one, or account carrier. We've built this functionality there so that if we support people doing wholesale multi-carrier, you can do that. Directory is the dial by name directory. The next cool thing that we use is this one down here called time of day. So let's go and create a new call flow again, just to give you an idea of this one. And we'll call this one 9912 and save that. And time of day allows you to invoke the time of day rule. So like where we set in the smart PBX the open and closed hours, this allows you to do time of day rules in a call flow. So how do we use it? Drag time of day rule to invoke it to start with. Select the time zone. By default, it's the tenancy. We've now got the time of day function invoked. So what do you want to happen? So you might say during business hours, I want it to call a ring group. So you drag the ring group. It says, okay, well, what time of day do you want us to do this? I want it to do it Monday to Friday, 10 till 2. Save. Then what do you want it to do? Which group do you want it to ring? I want it to ring my accounts team. Now, we haven't explicitly stated any other hours yet. So what's going to happen outside Monday to Friday, 10 to 2? At the moment, if someone called in, it would just dump the call. So what we need to do is then specify what happens outside of those hours. So to do that, we would grab something else. So we might say voicemail and drag that back to our top level. What do you want to invoke? So all other times, I want it to go to a voicemail. So you can now see we've got a complete menu that says Monday to Friday, 10 till 2, go to my ring group. Any other time that's not defined within a specific time, an explicit time, do that. Now you can go and change that. So you might say, well, actually 10 till 2, Monday to Friday, yeah, I want it to go there, but I might have from say 2 till 5, I want it to do something else. So you might go in here and say, well, I want to add a time of day called Monday to Friday, 2 till 5. You go and select Monday through Friday, and you go and select a start time of 2 p.m. till 5 p.m. And maybe just someone goes home after 2 o'clock, your secretary goes home. So you've now got 3 options. So Monday to Friday, 10 till 2, go to this ring group. Monday to Friday, 2 till 5, go to this ring group. And any other time that's not explicitly defined, go to voicemail. Then you might say, oh, well, actually, we want something on Saturdays. Okay, well, Saturdays, that's fine. What do you want it to do? Well, John works on a Saturday. Okay, well, drag that in there, and you're going to define it. If it's not there, go and define it. Add a time of day, Saturday, but he's only in from, 9 till 12:30. So you go and select Saturday, and you go and select 9, move your slider back to 12:30, and click Save. What do you want it to do? Well, I want it to go to Max's extension. There you go. So you can now see that we've got explicit times defined, and we've got an all other times defined. Now, one thing to remember is if this ring group, if they don't answer right now, at the end of this ring cycle, which is currently set to 20 seconds, it's just going to drop the call. So always remember that whatever you define on a call flow, it is going to follow it exactly as you see it on the screen. It's going to come in the top here like a funnel. It's going to go, yep, do this, do this. If there's nothing here, it's going to do nothing. If you want it to go to a voicemail, you've got to drag and drop the voicemail, and now it's going to do something. If you want this one to do or go to another ring group, you've actually got to drag and drop it there, define your group, and then again, if you want it to go down here to a voicemail, then you actually need to go and define it. So hopefully that makes a bit of sense with how to use the time of day rule. You can do all sorts of stuff like chase the sun. You can do nested time of day rules. So we've got a customer who's got different help desk after hours people for different day of the week. And we've literally got time of day rules that says, if it's Monday, do this. If it's Tuesday, do this. If it's Wednesday, do this. If it's Thursday, do this. And that just loops into different call flows based on who's on call, and then they just go and change one call flow for the day of the week as to whose mobile phone sits in that call flow. So to give you an example of that, if we said a typical one within the IT industry might be, oh, this person's on call outside office hours. So let's go and do something like that. So you might have a ring group that says Monday to Friday, 9 till 5. So add it in here, Monday to Friday, 9 till 5 p.m. Tick, tick, tick. 9 till 5. So we've now got Monday to Friday, 9 till 5. All other times go to a menu, and you might then get customers to accept after hours, or all other times go to a mobile phone. So we define a mobile phone as a device. you drag the device in all other times, and then you go and select which device, mobile phone, save. You've now got an in hours and an out of hours. So it's not a hard thing to do. It's just about thinking about your call flows before you do them. I always recommend that you grab pen and paper or a whiteboard and plan your call flows out before you start working on call flows. Because when you get it on paper and then you start doing implementation, it's a hell of a lot easier. This is where you start to charge your customers implementation fees to do advanced call flow functionality. You charge them. We've got some of our partners who charge a few $1,000s. They go out, they sit with their customers, they do a half-day session of scribbling on a napkin. They go back, they'll drop it into Visio or Glyphy or Lucidchart or something like that to make it look pretty. They then actually go and do drag, drop, drag, drop, drag, drop. It takes 10 minutes. And they go, hey, look, isn't this wonderful? Give us $2,000 for the privilege. This is where your value is. This is where you add the secret sauce to the implementation and the functionality that you deliver to your customers, is get to know advanced call flows, because what you can do with it is absolutely unbelievable. There really hasn't been anything that we haven't been able to do yet. So go ahead, use your demo tenancies and break it. I really, really like to see people doing cool stuff with this. So that's time of day. Hot desking, that's just, again, you can toggle certain parts of call flows to trigger hot desking. Caller ID, you can do dynamic prepends and things like that as part of menus. So if we go back to our menu structure here, say we wanted when Jeff calls that it's come off the menu and we want Jeff to know. So if we break down that call flow here and actually go prepend, you can drag your prepend in here on option 2, save that. You might want to prepend menu 2, and then you might want to then go and call Jeff. So you go menu 2, drop him on menu 2, and then go to Jeff, and then go to Jeff's voicemail, and then hit save. So you can now see that if someone hits 2 off the menu, it's going to prepend menu 2, it's going to call Jeff. Jeff doesn't answer, it's going to go to the BA demo voicemail box. So that's where this comes in handy. Now, the one thing that's really cool is you can design your call flows in your custom call flow here, and then use them back in Smart PBX. And the way to do that is you click the little pencil up here, and you tick this box here that says, list this call flow in the main number. So if you tick this, and we put in here and go, call this one awesome call flow, and hit save, and save that, we can now take this call flow that we've designed here and go back to Smart PBX, go back to main number, and because we've ticked that here, we've got this one here, advanced call flow on the end, and we've now got awesome call flow. So you can design it in your awesome call flow, in the custom call flows, and use it back in Smart PBX. So now, whatever happens in here, it will flow into this call flow down here. Really handy if you've got just a few things that aren't, people might not want exactly this or exactly this or exactly this one. You can then go into your call flow, design it, and then drop it back in here. You've just got to remember to tick that box that says in here, tick the box here that says list this call flow and main number, and give your call flow a name so that it shows up in that drop down list. Easy as that. Call recording, again, you can invoke the call recording start and call recording stop, and enable and disable call forwarding, again, if you want to use that as part of a call flow. So you might do a call flow in here that you want to do call forwarding from. You can use star function. You can go and create your own flow numbers extension. So you might go star 666, and when I dial star 666, I want it to pick up and do a page group, and I want it to page all of my users. And what do you want it to page? Well, I actually want it to play media over that, which might be the evacuate message. Really useful case. Something that's, again, sounds really simple, that you think, oh, I can't do that. It's like 3 drags and drops. You can now go save, go to any phone in that building and dial *666, and every phone will page and then play beep, beep, whoop, whoop. Evacuate, evacuate, evacuate. And if you want it to continue to play it, guess what? You just drag it in and you say, keep playing beep, beep, whoop, whoop. Keep playing beep, beep, whoop, whoop. And you can just loop it again and again and again and again and again. So you've just got to think about the function that's in the system and how you're going to invoke that function as to how it's going to tie into what you're going to do day to day. So that gives you a pretty good 101 session on Smart PBX and how to use the basic functionality, which in all honesty is where about 99% of what you're going to do on a day-to-day basis is done. And then anything that's a little bit beyond that, you've got at your disposal at no extra cost to you and to your customer is the custom call flows, where you can really deep dive into the PBX and do all of this cool stuff. And you don't need to be a phone tech to do it. You just need to have a bit of planning and a bit of forethought on what you want to achieve. And it's more outcomes based than anything else. And as I say, get on a whiteboard, get on a bit of paper, and you can pretty much do anything. It's not that hard. Any questions? And then we'll wrap up. Feel free to unmute yourself if you want to ask a question. I can go through Provisioner if you want, guys. Rod's just asked, and the team in New South have asked if we want to go through Provisioner. If people have got a little bit more time, I'm more than happy to go through it. I do try and keep these to an hour because I know that people's time is limited. So for provisioning of handsets, we've got another tool we've built here called Provisioner. Which is IP restricted and allows you to do bulk imports of new devices, and it also allows you to make changes to handsets. So I know Daryl and the guys at Midnight Oil were coming on board with some, was it Yale? Was Cisco handsets? I think, Daryl, is that right? 962s. So this is where we do the configuration of the MAC addresses to map MAC addresses to devices and then map them to the users. Now, the cool thing with this is if you're starting with an empty shell of a tenancy, you can download our bulk import template from here and bulk import the first name, the last name, the email address, which sets up the user, and then assign the device and the extension number, and pretty much just sit there and grab a box of phones and go zap 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 with a barcode scanner, scan everything in, and bulk provision. This is how we do, pardon me, all of your bulk provisioning. When you buy phones through Summit, we use exactly the same tool that that you guys have got access to as well. Apologies for it being slow. I'm logging in as the master admin here, which goes and does a huge amount of API calls to bring all the accounts in as part of it. So yeah, you can do all of that. From here, you can do device-based changes, so changes to BLF keys, changes to functions that buttons do, changes to backgrounds on phones if you've got phones that can do background images. All of that's available to you. So let's dive into our demo tenancy here. So if we go to RT demo, which is where we were playing, and you can see it now tells you which tenancy you're provisioning in. So the first thing to make sure of whenever you're using Provisioner is managing the ACL. The ACL is the IP address that the phone, the public IP, is coming from. Is that better, Rod? Having it zoomed? Yep, cool. So the public IP that you're coming from. So manage ACL. So if you ever configured option 66, for instance, on your router, so option 66 is a DHCP option that will take the MAC address, send it to whatever you put in the DHCP option, which in this case will be p.zipvoice.com.au. It sends us the MAC address. We match the MAC address at our end with a config and then send you back the config. If you haven't put your public IP in to the ACL, we will reject the query, and this stops phones that aren't yours coming and accepting. So if you've got your public IP from your ISP, you go and put that in here, 103.13.86.1, for instance, and you go add. That's now in there. You can add and delete them. If you've got a subnet that you need to add in there, so if your customer's got a /29 or something like that, 103.13.86.1/29. So it just takes CIDR notation, and that then goes and adds that into the firewall dynamically. So you can add and delete those on the fly. So that's step one, if you're ever having problems. The next thing that you can do is bulk import. So bulk import allows you to download a spreadsheet. You can download the template, bring that up here. And you can then go through and put in first name, last name, email address, the brand of the phone, the model, the DID if you want to map a DID, extension number, and the MAC address of the phone. We then suck that in, parse it, and it goes and creates the user, the account, everything on the fly. We spoke about the public holidays before, so that's also here in Provisioner. So you can see that the account time zone is set to Australia, Melbourne here. So if we now click this button here that says Sync Holidays and give that a minute or two, what that does, if we go back over to Smart PBX and go into main number and go into Office Holidays, you can see it's actually gone and created automatic holidays: Vic Labor Day, Vic Australia Day, Vic Easter Saturday, Boxing Day, Easter Sunday, Christmas Day, Melbourne Cup, New Year's, Good Friday, Easter Monday. And that's all based on a government ICAL file, so it dynamically queries that ICAL file. So you go in on the 1st of January next year and you query it again, and it will go and update Easter Saturday, for instance, because Easter moves every year. Things like Boxing Day, not a problem, same date every year, but things like Melbourne Cup, it's the first Tuesday of November. Well, the first Tuesday is not always the 7th. So little things like that. Labor Day, that changes. Again, that's the first in Victoria. I think it's the first Tuesday in March, one of them. Anyway, so yeah, first Tuesday or second Tuesday, there you go, in March. So that's how the public holiday sync works. Daryl's just asked here, what about non-static IP, e.g. home users? So the only thing that you need to put the IP in here for is provisioning. Once the device is provisioned, it doesn't matter. So we don't lock down the IP address for the SIP registration. This is purely for getting the config and sucking the config down to the phone. So if you know you're going out to a home user to do a deployment, you can go in at your office, put their IP address in, go out, provision the phone, and even if it changes later, that's fine. Once the phone's provisioned, it's done. The only time you'll need to do it, of course, is if you want to then update the buttons on the phone or something like that and get them to re-provision, then you'll need to update that IP. So the next thing you need to do is set a global template. So we work hierarchically with templates. So we do a global template, and then we do a device template. So a global template allows you to set it at a master level. So everyone with that model of phone gets that template. So if you've got everyone who you want the background on the phone to be the same, then you do that at the global template level. If you have everyone in that site who has a VLAN on the phone, then you do that at a global level. If you've got two sites where one site has VLANs and one site doesn't, then you would do that at the device level, not at the global template level. So where that comes into play is director has phone on desk at home. You can do global template and then override at the individual template. And I'll show you how to do some of that. So the first thing we do is set a global template. you select from one of our phones that we've done templates for. So we've done a huge amount of different brands and models. Different functionality is going to be there based on the phone that you select. So Yealink is our preferred model. We extensively test the Yealink handsets with all features, functionality, making sure that everything works within them. All the others are just going to be dependent on the phone, the model, the firmware, what they give us to play with. So I know Rod sent down a Panasonic cordless phone that one of his customers had from Telstra service, I think it was. Well, we took that, we created the template, and there's the functionality there for that one now. So you can actually go and assign that to those models of handsets now. So if we go and select a Yealink, for instance, so like a, let's go and pick one of the new ones, T52S, which is the new Yealink phone. So let's go and click assign. We can now see in the list global templates, so that's here, list global templates, that we've now got a T52S. So at a global level, let's see what you can do. You can go and change the DSS keys. So the DSS keys are the buttons. So you can see here, line type, line, what's behind it. So the line type, these are all, again, these are in our knowledge base. So you go line key, I think it will be under. There you go, DSS values for provisioner. It tells you the three common ones that we use. So 15, 13, 16, 10. So you can see 10 is a call park button. So if we go back into our line type here, so this is a call park button. When you push the button, it does *3701. And the label on the screen is Park 1. So if we wanted to change that and make that a BLF key to see who's on the phone, because maybe you don't want to use the parking functionality, so BLF is a 16. So you go in here and you change it to a 16. The line key value is going to be the extension that you want to monitor for who's on and off the phone. So if we go back into Provisioner here and look at our users, into Flex, sorry, and look at our users. So we might want to monitor Steve Jones, 1005. So we'd put in here 1005 and we want to label it as Steve. So that's how you would change your template. And this is a global template. So whatever you change into global, everyone gets. So just remember that global is everyone, whereas you can then go and override at a individual extension level as well. So you can see there all the different buttons. And then once you're done, press save. So I'm not going to save that. I want it to stay as the default. Let's go back into list global again. And let's this time go into edit advanced. So edit advanced allows you to do certain things like NTP server changes, RTP port changes. This one, which you probably will never touch, these ones here. This one here, if you want to enable or disable VLANing for that phone, so 1 to enable, 0 to disable, what VLAN do you want to then put onto the port? So you might use 2, you might use 201, you might use 4000, whatever, it doesn't matter. It just allows you to do that. And you can also tag the port that faces the PC as well. So you might say, if it's 0, it just takes untagged traffic. But if you've got specific tag traffic that you want on that port, so you might say my voice traffic's always going to be on 4000, but my data traffic that faces the computer is always on 99. You can go and set that up so it's global. The missed call pop-up, so some people like it, some people hate it. Again, if you want it on, 1. If you want to disable it, 0. Power saving, so the screen staying on, the backlight on the screen staying on or turning off. So enabling it, 1. By default, 0. It goes to sleep after about 20 seconds. The background, so you can see in here you can actually put an HTTP address in, and it will go and take the background. The expansion module background, so on these new phones you can have an EXP50, which is the expansion module that's also got a color screen. You can then also go and put a background on that as well. Call waiting enable or disable, so that's whether the phone will accept a second call, 1 or 0. By default it's on. Call waiting tone, again, 1 or 0. The backlight level, so make it brighter or more dull. How long is it going to stay on for? The transfer DSS type, so that's whether it transfers it as a blind transfer, an attended transfer, as the default. Attender transfer is the default setting. Multi-call transfer enable, and if you want to enable or disable the Bluetooth in the phone, because that model of phone has Bluetooth. So you can see that it's quite flexible in what you can enable and disable at a global setting. And you can put your background as an HTTP file there, and the phone will just go off. As long as you can open that file, it will go and grab that file and put it as the background. So if we look at, let's just go back to global again. If we look at a, say, T46, you can see here, this one here, we've got an image, and as long as you can resolve that image, there's the image just in a browser, it will just suck that image down and use that as the background. So you're just going to put that in there. You can see some of these have got more functions than others, and that really comes down to how much we've gone into the config files and the settings and what they've enabled us to do within those config files. So just depending on the model of phone, you're going to get different functionality. So now that we've got a global template, you now need to assign that to a device. So if we go into list provisionable devices, what this does is it queries the devices that you've actually got here under devices. So all of these devices are provisionable devices. So it looks at the type, that's SIP phone with a MAC address. This one's got a few devices, so it'll take a minute to bring it up. And once that comes up, you'll see all the devices that are available that have got templates already assigned and that don't have templates. So you can see here that some do and some don't. So this MAC address, which is David's gigaset, has an extension of 1004, and it's currently got a T46G template assigned to it. So we might say, okay, well, I want to unassign that template and assign a different one. You can do that, or you can take a test phone here. So we might want to assign our new one. So we click assign template. It will then say, right, which template do you want to assign? So we've just done the 52S. And that goes and maps the global to the device. And then once that's there, you can then, we've now got there 52S. You can go and override the globals at a handset level. So if you want to change the DSS keys at a individual, then you change it here. What's the difference between a T52S and a T52S-1? Someone's just asked. A T52S is just the phone. A T52S-1 is the phone with one sidecar, one EXP40. A -2 is with two sidecars, and so on and so forth. So depending on how many expansion modules the phone can have, the dash just indicates how many extra buttons are in that template that you can actually program. So the DSS keys here, you can go and override them. And again, the advanced settings, you can go and override at a phone level. So if you wanted to go, so null, if it's % null %, it just takes from the global. But if you wanted to go and disable, explicitly disable on this phone, the VLANing, because it wasn't going to be VLAN, it might be going to someone's house or remote site, you can explicitly go and disable it on that one and hit save. And you'll see there, that's now explicitly disabled. So even if the VLAN is enabled at a global level, it's disabled for that MAC address. And some people might say, well, I want my call features popping up for that one, or I've got a Bluetooth headset, so can you enable Bluetooth for me? No worries. You can do that at an extension-based level as well. So that's Provisioner in a nutshell. It's not pretty, but it's certainly very functional, and it allows you to deploy a lot of handsets very, very quickly. So we are doing batches of 20, 30, 40 handsets at a time, where we're literally just sucking in a file, scanning in all the MAC addresses into that file and walking away, and then phone comes out of the box, goes on the workbench, plug in, sucks down the config, configures itself, and then once it's configured, goes back in the box. It's done. We know that phones, they leave here with a known config on them, and they're working every single time. So the consistency is key. If you've ever got a problem with a handset, the first thing we're going to do is go and look at the template, wipe your template, reprovision it on a bog standard template that we know works. And if it works with the template, then we at least know it's a problem with your template. So that's one thing to, if you start, coming unstuck, just factory reset the phone, let it suck down a clean template, and at least you know that it's got a known working template on it. So hopefully that's a bit clearer for everyone about how Provisioner works as well, and how it's going to save you some time. Option 66, what did you want to know about it, Rod? Do you want to unmute yourself?
No, I understand what it is. Greg, I was just making sure the text, because it's going to be recorded.
Sure. So option. Yep. So option 66 is a DHCP option. If you go and search in our knowledge base as well, we've got a whole lot of examples there on how to set up option 66 based on different routers. So there's examples there for Cisco, MikroTik, Sophos, Sophos XG, Draytech, CyberOhm, SonicWall. What else is there? And Windows. So you can go and set up your different options based on different firewalls. But all of the details are there. So option 66 is where it does the phone home. So when it picks up the DHCP handshake, it goes and does it says, oh, my MAC address is 0015654328A, and it goes, I'm going to send that towards that option 66 address. That address goes, yes, I know who you are. I'm going to respond to you with a valid response. And it goes, here you go. Here's your config. Here's your firmware. Here's your this. And it pushes all of that straight back down to the phone. So that's really handy if you're configuring a site with Flex. Set up option 66 in your DHCP scope. And it means that if you ever need to get that person to reset their phone, on the Yealink phones, you just push and hold the OK button for about 10 seconds. You hit OK to accept the reset, and you know that that phone is going to factory reset back to defaults, phone home, get the new config. You don't have to drive out to site. You don't have to do anything. It's just going to work every single time. So that's where option 66 comes into play. So our knowledge base, docs.thesummitgroup.com.au, heaps and heaps and heaps and heaps of knowledge base articles there. We're always adding new things in there. How to add hold music, how to do ring groups, how to disable hold music, how to do your audio files in Audacity, different gotchas with different brands of phones. So if you're doing a door phone, there's door phones there. If you're using a gigaset, how to set up the gigasets because they don't do auto provision, how to use Zoipa or the free version of Bria or Grandstream or Snom. All of the details are there, guys. We're always adding different things into here. If there's ever an article that's not there that you find, just ping it through to support@summitinternet.com.au, and the guys will write an article and put it up there. And we're doing a lot more recordings and things like that. So our YouTube channel will be updated very soon as well. And these are all of our old videos, but our new videos will be up there shortly as well with pretty much everything we've gone through today, but again, just bite-sized pieces on how to do things. Any other questions from the guys up north or from Daryl and your team? Yep, so website pricing, Rod's been removed. So that was got to do with two things. One is we've got a lot of wholesalers on now, so they wanted to make sure that the pricing was removed. Also, from a marketing point of view, a lot of people actually say that you get better click-through rates and things like that without pricing. If you would like a brochure, we've got a new brochure that we've just finalising, which is, I'll drag it onto my screen. There we go. Zoom that out. New brochure there that we can send out to you, that we can put your logo on with an allowed room. So if you send through a high resolution EPS or Illustrator file, we'll just drop that on there for you, and that's got all the features and everything on the back there, and all the handset charges and things like that. And it's got the nice new Yealink 52S, which we're just finalising a few things with at the moment, and then we'll be releasing that. That'll replace the 42S as our standard handset as well. No other questions, queries, moans, groans, complaints, or comments? All happy? Thank you, linesman. Thank you, ball boys. Great. There's another one just coming. When onboarding, do you have a process or procedure for resellers? So the first thing really is going through a Flex 101 session. Once you've gone through your 101 session, we will set you up with your demo tenancy and your partner tenancy. So those are both free of charge to you guys as partners. We give you 2 tenancies, and the reason for that is one is to use in your production environment, and then the other is to have as a play environment. And then get in there and get your hands dirty. That's the main thing there for Flex. You'll also receive things like our retail price book and stuff like that, and we're currently working on a sort of a partner portal where you'll be able to log in and grab the latest version of price books and things like that, submitting service qualifications and seeing any of your orders that are in progress. So that's currently happening at the moment. All good. If there's anything else, don't hesitate to reach out to either me or my team. We're here to help you. We're here from 8:30 to 5:30, Monday to Friday, or on email. So qualifications, you can shoot them through to SQ for service qualification, sq@summitinternet.com.au, and we'll come back to you with any service quals that you've got. Otherwise, you've got access to both Maria and myself for any sales inquiries that you've got. And if you have any service delivery or provisioning questions, Jared and our support team's here to help you, and Jamie and our service delivery team as well. But anything, just ping it through. We're always here to help. I'll finish off the recording now, and I'll make the recording available to those who have attended today, and I'll look at slicing this one up as well to pop on YouTube. Have a good afternoon all. Happy selling. Hope you enjoyed today. Ciao for now.